They won't tell you this. But there is a version of you that is so calm, so unfazed, so untouchably powerful, that it scares the hell out of the demons people carry. And guess what? You don't have to scream. You don't have to fight. You just have to stand still in your silence. Because silence backed by self-control is louder than any outburst. You want to shut people down who lie, manipulate, disrespect, and provoke. Don't argue. Don't explain. Don't react. That's what they're feeding on your reaction. They thrive off your emotional chaos because your chaos makes them feel in control. They expect you to react. That's the game. That's the trap. That's how they keep control. By pulling strings they know will make you explode. But what happens when you don't react? What happens when you don't flinch, don't defend, don't bite the bait? Everything in them starts to panic because your silence isn't weakness. It's dominance. It's a level of power that people carrying demons cannot understand. See, most people are addicted to chaos, not peace. They look for drama, not healing. So when they come at you with their toxicity, their manipulation, their lies, and you give them nothing, no tears, no shouting, no validation, they get hit with something they were never prepared for, their own reflection. Your silence turns into a mirror. And in that mirror, they see the truth they've been avoiding. They see that you're no longer who you used to be. You're not their toy. You're not their emotional punching bag. You're not the person they can twist up with a few words. You've outgrown the performance, and it drives them insane. People don't fear confrontation. They fear being ignored. They fear becoming irrelevant in the space they once controlled. They fear that their tricks don't work anymore. That's why silence is louder than anything you could ever say. You don't have to prove your side of the story. You don't have to justify your boundaries. You don't have to scream to be heard. Because when your presence carries peace and your energy is unshakable, the silence becomes deafening. And those demons people carry, they thrive on reaction. That's how they feed. The moment you starve them of that, they shrink. They lose their grip. They start unraveling in confusion. Because for the first time, you're not dancing to their rhythm. This is what most people will never understand. Control is not about dominating others. True control is about mastering yourself. It's about walking into a storm and not letting a single drop touch your soul. It's about letting someone throw every emotional grenade they have and standing there still, centered, untouched. That level of stillness, it's rare. And because it's rare, it's intimidating. People don't know what to do with someone who can't be manipulated, triggered, or baited. They start questioning themselves. They start spiraling because the reaction they were counting on, the emotional explosion they wanted, it never came. And now they're left alone with the chaos they created. You become untouchable not by being louder, but by being calmer. You break the cycle not by clapping back, but by walking away with grace. You silence demons not by fighting them, but by denying them access to your energy. That's when you become dangerous. That's when your silence becomes the most powerful weapon in the room. Because it's not just silence, it's intentional. It's backed by self-respect. It's backed by discipline. It's backed by the understanding that not every battle is yours to fight, and not every accusation is worth your breath. The stronger you get mentally, the less you feel the need to explain yourself. You realize that the loudest statement is often the one that isn't spoken. And make no mistake, this isn't about being passive. This is about choosing your power over your impulse. It's about being so emotionally mature that you understand some people don't want peace. They want control. And the only way to truly take that control away is by refusing to let them shake you. No yelling, no texting back paragraphs, no playing into their hands. Just quiet, grounded, unshakable composure. That's what drives them crazy. Because you're no longer predictable. You're no longer reactive. You're no longer easy to reach. You have to understand, when people are carrying demons, they're not fighting you. They're fighting themselves. You're just the closest target. So the moment you remove yourself from that battlefield and choose silence, you force them to fight their own shadows, without your energy covering for them. That's when the real chaos begins. Inside them. Not you. Because you chose to protect your peace. You chose not to bleed every time someone tried to cut you with their words. You chose not to give them the show. And that's how you win. That's how you break the pattern. That's how you rise. Silence is power when it comes from self-mastery. It means you've got nothing to prove, nothing to defend, and nothing to lose. It means your energy is so valuable that you won't waste it trying to convince someone of your worth. It means your soul is no longer available for people who operate in chaos. That kind of silence, it's intimidating, it's heavy, it's powerful, and most of all, it's final. Because once you reach that place where silence becomes your boundary and peace becomes your response, no one can pull you back into the emotional traps you've already escaped. And that is how you silence the demons in people. Not with arguments, not with revenge, but with presence, with peace, and with the kind of silence that speaks louder than any scream ever could. Healing is not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with applause. Real healing happens in silence, in private, in moments no one sees. And that's exactly why it's the most dangerous thing you can do to someone who tried to break you. Because people expect you to crumble. They expect you to chase. They expect you to prove you're okay. But when you stop explaining, stop beginning, stop reacting, and start rising in silence, that's when your healing becomes your loudest revenge. You don't have to post your progress. You don't have to show off your peace. The most powerful transformation happens when no one is watching, and then one day you show up unrecognizable. Calm, glowing, unbothered, unavailable. And they don't even know how to respond. That's what healing does. It shuts people up without confrontation. It leaves them haunted by the version of you they can no longer reach. Healing isn't for show. It's for freedom, peace. It's for you, not them. Because you know what real revenge is. Not becoming like the person who hurt you. Not matching their energy. Not throwing back the pain they caused. The real revenge is choosing yourself, choosing growth, choosing joy, choosing to rise while they stay stuck in the same cycles, playing the same games with people who will never reflect their mess back at them. When you stop showing up to the battles they start, when you stop participating in the pain they need you to react to, they lose. Not because you defeated them in an argument, but because you left them behind, and you did it with silence. People who try to destroy others aren't used to seeing someone heal instead of retaliate. They're used to guilt tripping you into staying. They're used to breaking you down and watching you try to put yourself back together in front of them. But when you disappear into your peace, when you cut off access and turn your focus inward, they panic. Because now they don't get to see the damage. They don't get to feel powerful watching you hurt. And they definitely don't get to sit front row when you rebuild. Healing behind closed doors is how you protect your power. You don't let them near your comeback. You don't let them feed off your growth. You level up so quietly that one day your existence becomes a trigger, not because you did anything to them, but because they know they can never access you again. When you heal, you stop fighting battles that don't belong to you. You stop internalizing other people's demons. You stop trying to get closure from those who never had the capacity to give you peace. That's when your silence becomes threatening. Because now, instead of trying to fix things, you're focused on fixing yourself. Instead of trying to be understood, you're focused on understanding your worth. And in that shift, the dynamic changes. You're no longer the person they can control. You're no longer emotionally available for their drama. You're building a life they can't touch. And that scares them, because now your absence is louder than your presence ever was. Healing means you stop bleeding for people who wouldn't even hand you a bandage. It means you no longer light yourself on fire to keep others warm. It means you stop trying to explain your heart to people who are committed to misunderstanding it. That kind of healing changes everything. It makes you less reactive, less accessible, less apologetic, and more powerful. You become so rooted in your peace that someone else's chaos can't shake you. You walk away without a word. You let go without the drama. And you keep rising like they never existed. Not because you didn't care, but because you finally cared about yourself more. They thought they'd destroyed you. They thought you'd never recover. They thought the silence meant you were broken. But what they didn't realize is that silence is the sound of rebuilding. The sound of rerouting your life in a direction they can't follow. The sound of learning, unlearning, and becoming. And when that transformation is complete, you become a version of yourself that doesn't need validation, doesn't need revenge, doesn't even need to be seen. Because you've already seen what they'll never understand. A peace is more powerful than attention. Healing is more dangerous than revenge. Growth is more brutal than any clap back. You want to disturb the demons in people who tried to harm you. Don't attack. Don't justify. Don't announce your next move. Just heal. Work on yourself so hard that their memory can't touch your future. Focus so deeply on your elevation that their name doesn't even trigger you anymore. When you become so focused on building your life that you forget about proving yourself, you win. Because they didn't expect you to survive without them. They didn't expect you to thrive. They didn't expect your silence to be permanent. And now your glow is a reminder of everything they lost access to. Healing makes you unreachable. Because healed people don't argue with broken ones. Healed people don't seek validation from chaos. Healed people don't shrink to make others comfortable. And healed people don't seek revenge. They move on. Fully. Quietly. Completely. And nothing is more unsettling to someone who tried to keep you small than watching you become limitless. Not out of spite. Not to prove a point. But because you finally realized what you deserve. And the moment you choose healing over retaliation, you take away everything they thought they had over you. The best part, their family wants. You don't owe anyone the process. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them a seat at the table you built from scratch. They weren't there when you were crawling out of your lowest place. They weren't there when you were battling